Odeh.
Some Nigerians with questionable character in the diaspora have indulged in malicious campaign to radicalize their compatriots and promote destabilization back home. This revelation was made by the Coalition of Nigeria Movement in a press conference on Wednesday in Abuja. According to the group, this subversive element intends to tarnish the image of leaders while ultimately activating insecurity and economic crisis that will lead to anarchy. In his address, the Coalition for Nigeria Movement leader, Patriot Sabo Odeh, said Nigeria must be aware of these elements who deliberately instigate problems back home and escape with their families to safe abodes. According to Odeh, they sponsor you to protest under the pretext of democratic liberty and fail to speak out when it turns to violence. The coalition recalled the role played by these Nigerians abroad in fueling last year's EndSARS protests, which eventually led to arson, unrest, and bloodbaths.
We are baffled at the manner these Nigerians in diaspora dubiously misinterpret and apply the doctrines of freedom of speech and the rise to public protest by the citizens in the expression of grievances against government in a manner which project them as built to the detriment of peace and violence. This tendency has become too pronounced under the administration of President Muhammad Buhari in the last 4 years. These diasporan Nigerians prod and sponsor our youths to protest under the pretext of democratic liberty, but hardly know the difference between peaceful and violent protests as exposed by democratic governments globally. Even when such protests become violent and bloody, mad by destructions, the Nigerians in diaspora use various weapons, especially social media platforms, to bolster the perpetrators of such evil against the people and the nation to continue in self-destruction. Whilst we are excited at recounting the goals of some of these recent ugly so-called democratic public protests in Nigeria, which did only become bloody, but violated the basic doctrines of liberty under a civilian government, but it has become pertinent to use the incident for illustration and clarity. We are aware of the age-long aberrations and the nuisances inherent in members of the outlawed sect, the Islamic movement in Nigeria, IMN, or the Shiites in Nigeria led by Sheikh Ibrahim al-Zakzaki. The sect's devious members have repeatedly invaded Abuja with guns and other dangerous weapons under the guise of protesting what they believe in their narrowed senses are the unlawful incarceration of al-Zakzaki. The protests were organized at 2 or 3 separate instances, but quite sadly, the Shiites defied all sanity, turned violent, and brutally engaged security agents drafted to maintain public law and order. In one of the incidences, they crudely attacked and gruesomely murdered Nigerians, including a senior police officer.
The Coalition for Nigeria Movement, however, advised Nigerians to wake up from slumber before the antics and sinister plan of these elements in diaspora will cause the total ruination of our country.